You spent $94 at the pool store last Saturday. Before that, $78 3 weeks ago. Before that, $110 in June when the algae came back for the second time. Add the monthly service tech at $150 a visit, and you're looking at $600, maybe $800 already this season on a pool that still is not reliably clear. The receipts are real, the water quality is inconsistent, and somewhere in the back of your mind, a question keeps surfacing that you have never fully answered. What exactly am I paying for? Here is the answer. You are paying retail for commodity chemistry. One, you are paying for the expertise of counter staff who are incentivized to sell product. You are paying for the convenience of a store that has positioned itself as the only place you can solve pool problems. And you are paying repeatedly for the same problems because the products being sold to you address symptoms while the conditions that produce those symptoms keep running uncorrected underneath. This video is the answer to every dollar you have wasted at the pool store. What to buy instead, where to buy it, exactly how much to use. 1. The complete grocery store and hardware store method that replaces the majority of what is on that wall, and the system that keeps the pool clear without a service tech, without specialty bottles, and without the monthly receipt that never seems to solve the problem permanently. The core shopping list costs under $50 for an entire season. The pool store version of the same chemistry costs $600 to $15, depending on your pool size and how reactive your maintenance has been. Same water, same pool. Different information. Understanding the pool store business model is not about cynicism. It is about knowing which recommendations serve you and which ones serve the margin. Once you understand the structure, every visit looks different and every purchase decision changes. Pool stores make money in two ways: product sales and service. Both revenue streams depend on the same thing: you not fully understanding what is causing your pool problems and what the most cost-effective solution actually is. A customer who walks in knowing that their pH is at 8.0 and they need muriatic acid from the hardware store is not a profitable customer. 1A customer who walks in saying the water looks off and hands over a bottle sample is a customer who leaves with 3 to 5 products and a receipt that reflects the counterperson's training in upselling, not their diagnosis of your specific chemistry problem. The free water test is the entry point for this dynamic. The test itself is legitimate, the readings are generally accurate. The product recommendations that follow are where the incentive structure creates problems. 1A water test that shows elevated pH, low alkalinity, and slightly low chlorine could be addressed with baking soda, muriatic acid, and plain bleach for a total of about $15 from the grocery store and hardware store. The same test result, processed through a pool store recommendation flow, typically produces a pH product, an alkalinity product, a chlorine product, and often a clarifier or algaecide added for insurance. Total, $60 to $90. Same chemistry problem. Wildly different solutions depending on whether the person recommending the solution profits from the recommendation. 1. This is not illegal. It is retail. But knowing it changes how you use pool stores, they are useful for 4 specific products that genuinely belong there. Everything else is available more cheaply elsewhere. Before the grocery store list, these are the things worth buying at the pool store because no equivalent exists elsewhere. Cyanuric acid granules stabilizer protects chlorine from UV destruction and has no grocery store equivalent, without it at 30 to 50 ppm. Bleach additions are destroyed by midday sun faster than you can add them. Buy it at the pool store. 1A 5-pound bag costs $20 to $30 and handles most pools for a full season or more. Calcium hypochlorite granular shock in bulk. Cal Hypo at 68% available chlorine raises free chlorine faster and higher per pound than bleach can for slam situations and heavy shock needs. Bought in a 25-pound bulk bucket rather than individual bags, the per-treatment cost drops significantly. One bulk bucket handles an entire season of weekly shocks and emergency slam treatments combined. A quality drop test kit, the Taylor K2006 or equivalent. One accurate chemistry management requires accurate testing, and strips are not reliable enough for CYA and combined chlorine, the 2 readings that matter most for diagnosing chemistry problems. A $25 to $35 drop test kit is a one-time purchase that pays for itself immediately. Borate test strips, inexpensive, available at pool stores or online. If you set up the borax buffer system this season, and you should, these confirm the level accurately since standard drop kits do not test borates. That is the complete pool store shopping list. 1 trip per season, 4 items. Everything else comes from stores you already visit every week. Here is the full replacement list. Every compound, where to buy it, what pool store product it replaces, and the correct dose for a 10,000-gallon pool. Scale linearly for your pool size. Baking soda replaces alkalinity up, sodium bicarbonate. Baking aisle of any grocery store, $1 per pound. The pool store sells the identical compound as alkalinity up, total alkalinity increaser, or pH buffer for $4 to $5 per pound. The molecular structure is identical. The effect on pool water alkalinity is identical. The price is not. 1 target range, 80 to 120 ppm. Aim for 100 to 110 ppm for maximum pH buffering through peak summer. Dose: 1.5 pounds raises alkalinity by 10 ppm in a 10,000-gallon pool. Add in 2 stages, broadcast across the surface with the pump running. Wait 4 hours between stages. Retest before adding the second half to prevent overshooting above 120 ppm. Timing: correct alkalinity before correcting pH. This is the sequence rule that everything else depends on. Alkalinity is the buffer that holds pH stable. Correcting pH in a pool with inadequate alkalinity is temporary by definition. It drifts back within 24 to 48 hours because the buffer that should hold it in place does not exist yet. Borax replaces pH up 20 Mule Team Borax. Laundry aisle, $5 to $7 per 76-ounce box. Replaces pool store pH up, pH increaser, or pH plus at $12 to $18 per container. Borax raises pH with less impact on alkalinity than washing soda, making it the cleaner tool for most residential pH raising needs. 1 box handles an entire season of pH raising for most pools. 1 Borax also establishes a borate buffer system at the correct initial dose, 20 pounds per 10,000 gallons. That provides ongoing pH stability beyond what alkalinity alone delivers. Dose for pH raising: half a cup of borax raises pH by approximately 0.1 units in a 10,000-gallon pool. Add with the pump running, broadcast across the surface, retest 2 hours later. Dose for borate system setup: 20 pounds per 10,000 gallons from 0. Add with the pump running, broadcast evenly, correct pH with muriatic acid 2 hours afterward since borax raises pH by approximately 0.5 units at the full dose. 1. Retest the following morning. For larger pH corrections needed quickly: washing soda, Arm & Hammer Super Washing Soda, also in the laundry aisle, $4 to $5 per box, moves pH more aggressively than borax and is the right tool when you need a bigger correction fast. Muriatic acid replaces pH down. Hardware store, $10 per gallon, replaces pool store pH down, pH minus, or dry acid at $18 to $25 for a smaller quantity. Muriatic acid is what pool professionals actually use for pH reduction. The pool store sells dry acid to residential customers because it is safer to handle and ship. 1. The cost difference per unit of pH correction is significant. Safety protocol before every use. Dilute in a bucket of pool water before adding to the pool. Add acid to water, never water to acid. Pour slowly at the deep end away from skimmer, lights, and fittings with the pump running. Eye protection and closed shoes every time. Add in stages, test between additions. Never add more than 16 ounces to a 10,000-gallon pool at once without retesting. Dose: 8 to 12 ounces of muriatic acid lowers pH by approximately 0.2 units in a 10,000-gallon pool. 1. Add half the estimated correction. Run the pump 30 minutes. Retest, add the remainder if needed. Do not overshoot below 7.0. Plain unscented bleach replaces liquid pool chlorine. Grocery store cleaning aisle, $3 to $5 per large jug. Sodium hypochlorite at 6% to 8.25% concentration. Pool store liquid chlorine is the same compound at 10% to 12.5%. The chemistry is identical. You use proportionally more bleach to deliver the same active chlorine. The cost per unit of active chlorine still favors bleach by 20% to 50% at standard prices and significantly more during peak summer price spikes. 1 critical qualification: plain and unscented only. Label must list sodium hypochlorite as the only active ingredient. No splash guard, no scent, no outdoor formulas with surfactants, no thickened gel versions. Read the label every time you buy a new container or brand. Any additive beyond sodium hypochlorite and water has the potential to cause foam, residue, or interference with chemistry readings. Dose for daily maintenance in a 10,000-gallon pool. 21 ounces of 6% bleach raises free chlorine by 1 ppm. Most summer pools need 1 to 2 ppm of added chlorine per day. 1. That is 21 to 42 ounces per evening addition. Timing: always at dusk. Bleach added in the morning under summer sun loses 50 to 90% of its dose to UV before it can circulate and work. Dusk additions work through the night at full effectiveness with no UV destruction. This timing rule is as important as the dose. Dose for weekly shock: 2 gallons of 6% bleach per 10,000 gallons at dusk after heavy use weeks. Pre-dissolve in a bucket before adding. Run the pump through the night. Test at dawn. 1. If chlorine dropped near zero by morning, shock again the following dusk. The organic load was heavier than one dose handled. Correct chlorine management replaces weekly algicide. This substitution does not send you to another store. It removes a product from the shopping list entirely. A pool with free chlorine consistently between 2 and 4 ppm and pH held at 7.4 to 7.6 does not develop algae under normal conditions. Algicide treats algae that is already established. Correct chemistry prevents the conditions that allow establishment. One weekly algicide at $15 to $25 per bottle, purchased 12 times per season, costs $180 to $300. Removing it from the list while maintaining correct chlorine and pH saves that entire amount. The morning test habit that catches chlorine and pH drift before it creates the gap algae needs is the only replacement required. The products above are only half the answer. The sequence in which they are applied determines whether they work as well as the pool store version or better. Apply them in the wrong order and you spend the same money for worse results. 1. The sequence is alkalinity first, pH second, CYA third if needed, chlorine last. Every time without exception. Alkalinity sets the foundation that holds everything else stable. pH corrected before alkalinity is stable drifts back within a day. CYA corrected before pH is right means the chlorine you add to achieve a target level is working at reduced effectiveness from the moment it enters the water. Chlorine added before alkalinity and pH are correct is the most expensive mistake in pool chemistry. You are dosing into conditions that consume it inefficiently. 1. The time cost of doing this correctly is one extra step and a few hours of waiting between corrections. The chemical cost of doing it incorrectly is repeated purchases of products that are not working at their potential because the foundational chemistry they depend on was never set first. Here is the practical reality of what correct sequencing produces. A pool with alkalinity at 100 ppm, pH at 7.5, and CYA at 40 ppm holds a bleach addition for 48 to 72 hours under normal summer conditions. 1. The same pool with alkalinity at 60 ppm. pH at 8.0, and CYA at 20 ppm burns through the same addition in 18 to 24 hours. Same chlorine, same pool, different foundational conditions. The foundation is what the baking soda, muriatic acid, and borax create. The bleach is what fills the pool after the foundation exists. The Pool Carter Playbook, From Green to Crystal Clear. 39 pages. Complete grocery store method with exact doses for every pool size. The full SLAM process for green pools, seasonal guides, and the 5 numbers that run your entire pool all summer. 1. Everything I wish someone had handed me on day 1. Normally $67, right now $29.99. 7-day money-back guarantee. Instant PDF download. Link is below this video. Stopping the pool store habit does not mean stopping all professional pool involvement. The line between what you handle and what genuinely requires a professional is real, and crossing it in the wrong direction costs more than all the pool store receipts combined. You handle the chemistry, daily chlorine and pH testing in summer, weekly full panel, corrections with grocery store and hardware store products in the correct sequence. 1 shock at dusk after heavy use pump runtime set correctly, filter cleaned on schedule, water level maintained, weekly brush of dead zones. This is 20 minutes a week, and it requires no professional knowledge beyond what this channel provides. A professional handles electrical work on pumps and heaters. Water and electricity are not a savings opportunity. Opening a pressurized filter or heater you have never serviced, confirmed leaks that survive the bucket test, structural cracks in the pool shell, gas line connections on gas heaters. 1. Anything under manufacturer warranty where DIY repair voids coverage worth more than the service call, The monthly service tech who comes every week to skim, test, and add chemicals is a professional doing 20 minutes of maintenance work that you can do yourself. The $150 per month service fee across a 5-month season is $750 per year for tasks this channel teaches you in one video. Keep the professional's phone number for the things that genuinely need expertise. Eliminate the recurring visit for tasks that do not. 1. The saving from eliminating the monthly maintenance service while keeping professional access for genuine needs, $600 to $900 per season, depending on visit frequency and local rates. Combined with the grocery store chemistry savings of $400 to $600 per season, the total shift from pool store dependency to informed self-management runs $1,000 to $1,500 per season for most residential pool owners. The 5 numbers, knowing them cold, eliminates most pool problems before they start. 1. Every pool problem that has ever cost you money started with one of 5 numbers drifting out of range without being caught early enough to correct cheaply. Know these numbers cold, know what they mean, know what to do when each one is wrong. And the pool store becomes a once-per-season trip rather than a recurring emergency response. Number 1. Free chlorine. Target 2 to 4 ppm in summer. This is the active sanitizer. The compound that kills bacteria, oxidizes organic waste, and prevents algae from establishing. Let it hit 0 on a hot afternoon and the pool is unprotected through the night. 1. Let it sit below 1 ppm for 2 consecutive days in August, and algae has the window it needs. Test every morning. Correct with bleach at dusk. Never let it sit below 2 ppm for more than 24 hours in summer. Number 2. pH. Target 7.4 to 7.6. The dial that controls whether chlorine actually works. At pH 7.5, roughly 50% of free chlorine is in the hypochlorous acid form that sanitizes. At pH 8, that drops to around 25%. At pH 8.2, less than 15%. The pool that tests 3 ppm free chlorine at pH 8.2 is functionally running at less than 0.5 ppm of effective sanitizer. Test daily. 1. Correct with muriatic acid when high, borax when low. Never add chlorine to a pool with pH above 7.6 without correcting pH first. Number 3. Total alkalinity. Target 80 to 120 ppm. The buffer that holds pH stable between corrections. With alkalinity in range, a pH correction made Monday still holds Friday. With alkalinity at 50 ppm, the same correction drifts back by Wednesday, and you are buying more pH product before the week is out. Test weekly. Correct with grocery store baking soda. Fix it before pH every time. Number 4. Cyanuric acid. Target 30 to 50 ppm. 1. Sunscreen for your chlorine. Below 30 ppm and UV destroys your bleach additions faster than you can add them. Above 70 ppm and chlorine lock begins. Chlorine is present but increasingly inactive, requiring higher and higher concentrations to achieve the same sanitizing result. Test monthly with a drop test kit. If on bleach as primary chlorine source, CYA holds steady since bleach adds none. If on trichlor tablets, CYA climbs all season. Monitor and plan dilution cycles before it hits 70 ppm. Number 5. Calcium hardness. Target 200 to 400 ppm. Wand water. Below 200 ppm in calcium is aggressive. It will extract calcium from your plaster, grout, and heat exchanger. Damage is cumulative and invisible until it has been happening for months. Water above 400 ppm drops calcium carbonate out of solution as temperatures rise, creating cloudy water and white scale that no chemical can clear because the problem is mineral precipitation, not chemistry imbalance. Test monthly. Correct with calcium chloride if low, dilute if high. 1. Most pools need this correction infrequently, but ignoring it causes the most expensive long-term equipment damage of any chemistry variable. These 5 numbers, known, tested on schedule, corrected in sequence, they are the entire chemistry knowledge required to manage a residential pool correctly all season, without a service tech, without a pool store visit, and without the recurring emergency that has been generating those receipts since opening day. The 3 mistakes that keep pool owners returning to the pool store. 1. Mistake 1. Treating visible symptoms instead of testing the underlying numbers. The pool looks cloudy. The reactive response is to buy a clarifier, but cloudy water has 3 possible causes: chemistry imbalance, filtration failure, or organic load from heavy bather use, and clarifier only addresses the appearance, not the cause. A pool that goes cloudy from high pH and low chlorine clears temporarily with clarifier and clouds again within a week because the pH and chlorine were never fixed. Test first, always. 1. The 5 numbers tell you which of the 3 causes produce the visible problem. Address the cause. The symptom resolves itself and does not come back. Mistake 2. Adding chemicals during the day instead of at dusk. This single timing error wastes a significant portion of every chlorine addition made during summer daylight hours. Bleach added at 9 a.m. in August loses 50 to 90% of its dose to UV destruction before it can circulate fully and do its work. 1. The owner adds what appears to be a full dose, tests 4 hours later, sees lower than expected chlorine, and concludes they need to add more or that bleach is not working as well as pool store chlorine. Neither conclusion is correct. The timing is the variable. Every chlorine addition in summer goes in at dusk. This single habit change can reduce total chlorine consumption by 30 to 50% without changing the product or the dose. Mistake 3. Correcting pH repeatedly without fixing alkalinity. 1. This is the most expensive recurring mistake in residential pool chemistry, and it is the one that generates the most pool store repeat purchases. A pool with alkalinity at 60 ppm cannot hold a pH correction. The buffer does not exist. pH is corrected, drifts back within 48 hours, gets corrected again, drifts back again. The owner buys pH down and pH up repeatedly across the season, spending $150 to $200 on pH products alone, while the underlying alkalinity problem runs untouched. One baking soda correction that brings alkalinity to 100 to 110 ppm changes this pattern immediately. 1 pH corrections made after alkalinity is stable hold for days to weeks instead of hours. The recurring pH product purchases drop dramatically. The pool store visit frequency drops with them. The complete weekly system 20 minutes that replaces everything you were paying someone else to do. This is the complete maintenance schedule. Every step, every timing detail, every product from the grocery store and hardware store. 20 minutes per week plus 2 minutes every morning. Every morning, test free chlorine and pH with a test strip. Chlorine below 2 ppm, note it. Add bleach at dusk. 1 pH above 7.6, note it. Add diluted muriatic acid at dusk. pH below 7.4, note it. Add small borax addition at dusk. Both in range, nothing to do until the evening routine. Every evening at dusk, add your calculated bleach dose based on pool size and the morning test result. Pour around the perimeter, confirm the pump is running. 2 minutes once per week, same day every week. Run the full 5-number panel with the drop test kit. Correct alkalinity first if needed with baking soda. Correct pH second with muriatic acid or borax. Note any CYA drift for monthly monitoring. 1. Check calcium hardness. Brush all pool surfaces for 3 minutes. Corners, steps, walls behind the ladder. Empty skimmer and pump baskets. Check filter pressure and clean if 8 to 10 psi above normal. Check water level and top off if needed. Shock at dusk if the week included heavy bather use or if combined chlorine is elevated once per month. Test CYA with the drop test kit. Confirm calcium hardness. Top up borate level with a few pounds of borax if a borate strip shows below 30 ppm. Inspect equipment pad for unusual sounds, drips, or pressure readings. 1 once per season at opening. Establish the full baseline. Alkalinity to 100 to 110 ppm, CYA to 30 to 50 ppm. Borate system setup with 20 pounds of borax per 10,000 gallons. pH to 7.4 to 7.6 after all additions are complete. This foundation makes the weekly 20-minute routine sufficient for the entire season. Total time investment per week, 2 minutes daily plus 20 minutes Saturday morning. Total chemistry cost per season, $150 to $200 for a typical residential pool. Total pool store visits per season, 1 at opening for the 4 items that genuinely belong there. 1. The grocery store shopping list. 1 trip, complete season. Here is exactly what to buy, where, and how much to start the season. Grocery store or wholesale club, plain unscented bleach, 8 to 10 large jugs to start. Baking soda, 10 pounds in bulk bags, 20 Mule Team borax, 2 76-ounce boxes for the initial borate system setup, plus mid-season top-up. Arm & Hammer super washing soda, 1 box for larger pH corrections if needed. Hardware store, muriatic acid, 1 gallon. Safety glasses and chemical-resistant gloves. These are not optional equipment. 1 pool store, 1 trip, cyanuric acid granules, 5 pounds. Cal hypogranular shock, 25-pound bulk bucket, Taylor K2006 drop test kit, borate test strips, total first season cost, grocery store and hardware store items approximately $55 to $75 depending on pool size and local pricing. Pool store items approximately $90 to $110 buying in bulk. Total $145 to $185. Compare that to the reactive pool store approach for the same season, $600 to $50 depending on how many emergency situations arose and whether a service tech was involved. The difference in the first season alone, $400 to $1,300. One across 10 years of pool ownership at conservative estimates, $5,000 to $10,000 saved from one shopping list and one system. What the pool store does not tell you about the products it sells, the compounds doing the actual chemistry work in pool store products, are not secrets. They are listed on the back of every container in the active ingredients section. The pool store relies on most buyers reading the front label, the product name, the problem it claims to solve, the pool picture, rather than flipping the container and reading what is actually inside. Alkalinity up, sodium bicarbonate. One baking soda dollars per pound at the grocery store versus $4 to $5 per pound at the pool store. pH up, sodium carbonate or sodium tetraborate. Washing soda or borax, $4 to $10 at the grocery store versus $12 to $18 at the pool store. pH down, sodium bisulfate, dry acid. Hardware store muriatic acid does the same job faster for $10 per gallon versus $18 to $25 for a smaller quantity of dry acid. One liquid pool chlorine. Sodium hypochlorite at 10% to 12.5% plain unscented bleach at 6% to 8.25%. Same compound, different concentration. Cost per unit of active chlorine favors bleach by 20% to 50% weekly algaecide, various biocide compounds that address algae after it establishes. Correct chlorine and pH management addresses the conditions before algae can establish. Net cost 0 plus 0 weekly purchases. The habit of reading active ingredients before reading product names is worth developing for every specialty chemical context, not just pool care. 1. The same model. Commodity compound, specialty label, specialty price runs in cleaning products, personal care, and garden chemicals. Pool care is just the most expensive example for most homeowners, which makes it the best place to start reading the back of the bottle. The honest long-term picture, what changes after the first season. Pool owners who make this switch consistently describe the same experience at the end of year one. They total up the season's chemistry spend and the number feels wrong. They recount it is not wrong. 1. The bleach receipts, the baking soda, the single pool store trip, the hardware store gallon of muriatic acid, under $200 for a full summer of clear, comfortable water. Then they calculate the previous season. The gap between those two numbers is usually large enough to produce a specific emotion, not satisfaction at saving money, but mild frustration at how long it took to find this information. That frustration is understandable. The information was always available on the back of the pool store bottle. It was just never the first thing anyone with a financial stake in the alternative volunteered to share. Year 2 is simpler than year 1. The borate system is established, CYA is in range, the drop test kit is already purchased, the muscle memory of the morning test is in place, the shopping list shortens. The pool store visit may not happen at all if the bulk Cal Hypo bucket from year 1 still has product. The season runs on bleach, baking soda, and 2 minutes every morning. Year 3, same. Year 10, same. The pool that was costing $800 to $4,500 per season is costing $150 to $200. The difference across a decade is $6,000 to $13,000 in chemistry and service spend that stayed in your pocket instead of crossing a pool store counter. That is not a projection, it is arithmetic. Applied to the compounds on the back of the bottle, the grocery store, 2 miles from your house, and 20 minutes on Saturday morning. The pattern that ends the pool store habit permanently, every return visit to the pool store for an emergency product traces back to one of 2 failures. A chemistry problem that was not caught before it became a crisis. 1. Or a chemistry problem that was treated at the symptom level without addressing the cause, which allowed the same problem to recur on schedule. The grocery store method with the 5-number system addresses both failures simultaneously. The daily 2-minute morning test catches chemistry drift when it is a 2-minute correction rather than a weekend recovery project. The correct sequence of alkalinity, pH, CYA, and chlorine addresses causes rather than symptoms. The products sourced correctly from the grocery store and hardware store cost a fraction of the pool store equivalent. 1 in the 20-minute weekly routine maintains the system through summer without accumulating the uncorrected drifts that produce the emergency. The pool store is not going away. It is useful for 4 specific products once per season. For everything else it sells, the grocery store and hardware store have the identical compounds at a fraction of the price. Available on a shopping trip you are already making, the next receipt at the pool store checkout can be the last one above $100 or the last one at all beyond the annual bulk purchase. 1. That decision starts with the knowledge of what the active ingredient on the back of the bottle actually is and where to buy it without the specialty markup. You have that knowledge now. The grocery store is 2 miles away. The pool store visit that was on this weekend's schedule just got significantly shorter. If this is the season you make the switch, drop it in the comments. What was the pool store habit costing you per season, and what did it drop to once you made the change? That number helps the next owner decide before they spend another summer paying retail for grocery store chemistry. Every video on this channel works the same way. Real numbers, no sponsors, no pool store upsell. If that is useful to you, subscribe. This channel reads the water, not the marketing.